Check it out, Casper!
Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Casper here, and today I come to you with some sort of bad news, and that is that hats appear to have stopped being awarded in random drops in Team Fortress 2. In fact, it seems that they stopped back in March this year. Just to explain what I mean by hat drops, in Team Fortress, you can occasionally get a hat given freely to you whilst you're playing the game, in the same way that you get a weapon or a crate drop. The difference is, however, that hats drop much less frequently. In fact, in over 3,000 hours of this game, I've only had probably somewhere in the region of 10 to 15 hat drops. So we're talking one hat drop per 300 to 500 hours, and that's just not very frequent. And it's because of this infrequent drop rate that only now it seems to have become apparent that their drops have stopped completely. This actually came to my attention via Reddit, a place I have a few mixed feelings about. But anyway, it was from a user by the username BS9TMW, and he linked to a very interesting post on the stat tracking website TF2tools.com, and there will be a link to both the Reddit post and this article in the description. But the important bits of the post, in case you don't want to go and read it all, is that this appears to have started on the 12th of March. Every hat and misc is affected, so none of them are dropping, and this also is affecting taunts, so taunts aren't dropping. However, this doesn't affect MVM awards. So if you play MVM and you get the rewards at the end of the round, you can still get hats from that. And another important note here is that people from the community have spoken to a Valve employee directly and are trying to come to a solution with this. So one of the main questions from me about this is this intentional? Personally, I'm voting no, and there's a few reasons for that. The biggest one, in my mind, is that hat drops are a feature exclusive to premium players, i.e. people who are not free to play. Hat drops is the reason then that many people will have become a premium player. So if Valve intentionally take this feature out of the game, they're taking away that thousands of people potentially have paid for. There are some interesting discussions on the Reddit thread that might suggest that it's intentional, and one of these, quite interesting, and it's quite well thought out, is the idea that it's an effort to bring key prices back down in relation to metal, that is. So it makes a fair amount of sense, although I don't think it's the actual case, but I'll take you through it anyway. The thought process that is last year sometime when the key prices started raising as such, it wasn't that the key prices were raising, but it's that the value of metal was dropping, so therefore it cost more metal to get the same value of key. And that's because metal was just, there was so much metal because it wasn't being used for anything else. People were creating metal by crafting weapons and not using it for anything else. Simple supply and demand says the higher the supply is, if the demand is equal, then the price is going to decrease, or rather the value is going to decrease. So the argument here is that if hats are removed from the drop system, then if anybody wants to create a new hat, you can either craft two hats together, which has always been the case, or, because drops aren't there now, another way is for you to craft three refined together and to create a new hat. Therefore, lowering the amount of metal that exists in the economy, thus increasing its value, and then balance it back out to where it used to be, or somewhere in between. As I said, it does make perfect sense in the economic sense, but I don't think Valve would do anything for this reason. I don't think they would purposely toy with the economy, because ultimately it doesn't affect them that much. And I especially don't think they would do something like this without telling us. And that's the key point. If this was intentional, why wouldn't it have been an official notice? Why wouldn't it have been in patch notes? If it's something that they were trying to do sneakily, people will find out, and Valve know that this community will find out. So there's almost no hope in hell that they would do something like this intentionally and not tell people. So I mentioned March 12th earlier, the day that this appears to have happened. Now there was actually a patch on this day, and again the link to these notes will be in the description. I have read through them all, and there's no note saying we are stopping hat drops. The only thing that I can see that may be somehow related, and this is by, this is a long shot, this is me searching for something that could be related, there's no evidence to say this is exactly it. But the Taunt workshop launched on this day, and with that they added a few new taunts to the game. So as I said, this is entirely a theory, but when new items come into the game, and will eventually be in the drop system, initially they normally aren't in the drop system, so maybe a few weeks or a month or so, they're not in the drop system. So my theory, just a theory, that they turned those items off for the drop system, and somehow turned off the whole drop system. Somehow they may have just flipped the switch, and nobody noticed. Of course, it's unlikely that no dev there at all would notice that this happened, but, it's not impossible. And if it was intentional, then why? Other than them purposely fiddling with the economy, or trying to reduce the number of hats so more people buy on the store is possible, but I cannot see them doing this, especially with it being a prominent feature of premium accounts. That's very underhanded, and okay, Valve, yeah, they're a company, they gotta make money, but as far as companies go, they're pretty good. So I open the floor to you guys. Do you care that hats aren't dropping? I mean, you should. Hats are nice. But also, do you have any idea why you think that they might have done this? Do you think it's a dumb accident, or do you think it's been intentionally turned off for some reason? I do hope they bring it back. I hope it's just an accident, because at the end of the day, when you get a pretty rare drop, you get a nice feeling for it. The hat's not worth much, but it's a cool feeling because you get something rare. And sometimes it is a nice hat. So anyway, guys, I thought I would cover this. I wouldn't often pull a story from Reddit and do a video about it, but I thought this one was quite interesting. And I had my own thoughts and feelings that I wanted to add to it. So anyway, guys, thanks everyone for watching. And I will be in the comments chatting with you guys about this, because this is a very interesting one. So anyway, guys, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.